Good morning, everybody. It is 9 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We do have a federal government shutdown. More on that as the day wears on. That in effect at 12:01 this morning. We are also following some breaking news right now. This is a live picture from New York. This is in the Bronx area. With is just posting minutes ago where a possible gas explosion happened at this high rise. And you can see there that part of the building has collapsed. Live pictures now from the NBC affiliate in New York City. Partial building collapse here. Authorities responding to the possible gas explosion. So more to come as this just has happened, at least reported, in the last 10 to 15 minutes. This is on Alexander Avenue, if you are familiar with this neighborhood in Mott Haven, and this happening this morning. So a lot of witnesses are talking to the reporters with the NBC affiliate there, as well as obvious first responders now on scene. We're going to keep tabs on this breaking news throughout the morning here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, let's get back here to the Carolinas and talk about our weather and check in with our Chris Mulcahy, because it feels pretty good walking outside this morning.
Doesn't it, though?
Yeah, I'm ready for fall, this first day of October.
It's okay to be average, and that's exactly what we are today.
Right.
78 degrees is how we should start off a typical October 1st, and we are doing it, y'all. Enjoy it, enjoy it. However, I am going to let everyone know the first half of October is much better than the second half, because October has one title compared to every other month that we have here in Charlotte. Of course, each and every day has a daily average high and a daily average low. October 1st averages a high of 78 degrees, a low of 57 degrees. The reason why I'm showing you this is that there is no other month that the highs and lows change this drastically compared to October. All the other ones maximum, it's usually about a 6 to 9 degree change. Well, our lows actually drop 13 degrees from the 1st to the 31st. So the 1st to Halloween. 57 to 44, and then our highs, the upper 70s to the upper 60s. So the reason why I'm saying to you this is we're about to encounter some chillier lows, but now we're about to hit the month that the 40s will start to become a possibility, and even the 30s. So I love October, especially for the afternoon. Sunshine is king, especially in the 70s. We're going to have a lot more days like that. I just wanted everyone to be advised. As far as our lows are concerned, that is going to be the biggest shock and awe to the system. We have that drier air. It feels amazing. The words like crisp, cool are going to be used over the next couple of mornings. 53 degrees is what we have for our starting point tomorrow. By the way, most of the time, I'm talking about 9 out of 10, 19 out of 20 times. We are looking at our average low to happen anywhere between about 45 minutes before the sun rises up to about 30 minutes after. It just kind of depends on the sky conditions. So it's right around sunrise. That's why when you say tonight's forecast, I'm telling you the hour by hour because it's actually warmer around midnight. I get to work around 2:30. It's substantially warmer at that point, around 60 degrees compared to those that get to work, say, around 7 o'clock. So just kind of keep that in perspective. Sunrise time right around 7:19. But check it out. Sweater weather. That's right. This is also the time of the year that kids leave their jackets at the playground because it's cool in the morning for the bus stop. And when they get home, they don't need it anymore. And then once you get to about Sunday to Monday, we're talking about our lows a little bit milder, close to about 60 degrees, and then we're going to stay there. And really heading into next week, that's where we're going to start to see a significant change overall. Check out our Muggy meter. It's feeling great. All is well. I'm super pumped about it. How you feel cast is all on the bottom threshold. No problems, no problemo. Everything is just fine and dandy. And our rainfall chances, a whole lot of nothing. We really don't have too much to mention. A spotty rain chance on Sunday, so things are trending a little bit better for NASCAR fans and NFL fans. The Panthers are undefeated at home. It's only one time, but there's some optimism. So maybe that's going to be their saving grace. Maybe they're just a home winning team. There's too many away games. But regardless, that is going to be an awesome forecast. Then for the first time, I get to show you my pumpkins. Check it out. Not the pumpkins I grew in my front yard. By the way, I had a bunch of July and August pumpkins, none in October, so that's a little disappointing, so I'll go work on that. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we have the mid to the upper 70s to around 80 degrees, slight chance for rain. And my favorite place to get pumpkins is called Bush and Vine in York County. Have you two been? Anyone? Jane?
Have I been to the
Bush and Vine in York County?
I have
I don't think that.
Yeah.
I have not been to that one. Carly,
Okay.
I have.
Oh, okay.
The best thing about it is you physically pick your pumpkin off the vine.
Yes.
So many times they here are our pumpkins. They're on hay bales. We're pretending. No,
Yeah.
you go out and you get to pick your pumpkin. Now, when you break it off the vine, it's yours. That's the rule. But this is why I'm mentioning this. Officially on the 27th, so over last weekend, they're open for the year, for the season.
Okay.
So
And they have soft serve, if I remember
yes,
correctly. That was
strawberry soft serve.
Oh, it's great. That's
Oh,
great.
wow, that makes-
That's the one thing I remember most.
Oh,
soft
that's a
serve.
fantastic.
It's
memory.
famous, yeah. And Bush and Vine's also great for strawberries during the springtime. They have hay rides out there. They didn't do them last year, so I don't promise on that. They have a little farmer's market. This is the place to go because from, I think, 8 to 5, Monday through Saturday, they're open. So many of these places are just open on the weekend.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm giving you a pumpkin picking forecast. Sunday doesn't include Bush and Vine. Just want everyone to know that. So, Carlene, glad you've been there.
That's
I
great.
want some of that
Yeah,
ice
it's
cream
a lot
now.
of fun.
So highly recommend it. They're not a sponsor of ours, but it's a great family.
I remember we did a story with them a couple years ago, and I lived in York County then, and I was like, you know what? Greg and I just were
Hey.
going to drive over there because of your story. We had the
Well,
soft
see?
serve, you
Yeah.
know?
Sam Hall and the Hall family
Yeah.
over there, Bush and Vine.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Chris has all the recs.
He does.
Yeah. I go and
great.
see. I'm gonna give you straight up again. I like to share what I love, and that experience is so rare these days. Most of the time, they pick it up. So many of these places physically have the pumpkin shipped from places like this. So this is the one. If you haven't done that,
Pick
do
it off the vine.
But I also, if you are off during the weekdays, that's the time to do it because it is a madhouse on a Saturday.
bet.
So yeah, you can imagine. Okay, we're moving on. Even though I gave you the Saturday forecast, but looking forward. Dew points. One of the bars is broken, but ignore that. The plain and simple. This is just showing we have comfortable air over the next 4. Usually I would proclaim pick of the week, but honestly, everything is in the pick of the week range. So it's really now until about Saturday. It feels comfortable. It feels great. You have a cooler fall feel. All in all, not too bad. And then by next week, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it starts to feel a little bit stickier. And I think that's going to up our rain chance as well. Real quick, I want to show you Charlotte Motor Speedway. How rare is it? All of a sudden you see it this active this time of the day, and that's because we have the Roval 400.
That's right.
And it's going to be a great weekend all in all. So clearly not to put you on the spot, do you know by chance like when that race is? Like 3? 3, okay.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. There's the... I had an isolated chance. Now it's spotty, so that went from 20 to 10, so it's trending down. If you have anything, I don't think it's really going to affect the race at this point.
Well, no, it's also a road course. So
that's
they
true.
have road tires, so if it's a little rain, they won't stop it. If it's torrential downpour, they'll stop it. But a little rain,
Spotty sounds like it'll be fine.
they'll be fine. They'll
Okay.
keep racing.
There it is. See, we have our NASCAR expert over here. I appreciate that.
NASCAR.
No, that was a good analysis. That had me pumped, honestly. And then we have the lower 80s into next week. It's feeling more humid. I would say next Wednesday, if I were to pick a day, that's the day that most likely is umbrella worthy. A cold front rolls in, even a chance for thunderstorms. So we'll kind of put a question mark on for that because you can't even see it on our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast. So I just wanted to mention that in general for the extended forecast. There it is, wrapping it up with a fall bow. This is a great looking forecast. Enjoy it. It's comfortable.
All right. Thank you so much,
course.
Chris. Very awesome of you to let us know that we're going to have a good weekend here. Yay. We're hearing it. All right. I need to get to some breaking news right now. This is in New York City, the Bronx neighborhood. Possible gas explosion in Mott Haven. Let's dip into the live coverage happening from NBC New York and listen in on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
To this, what are the NYPD and other agencies doing? We want to point out right now, we do have, and I believe that's FDNY firefighter on the roof of this building. Terry, what's going on? What are your sources telling you? All right. Checking with Terry in just a second. But we want to bring you back and take a look at what's happening there live from Chopper 4. We see 2 firefighters on the roof of this building, and they are in the area where this incinerator shaft was. Sometimes they refer to this as a trash chute. And you go on each floor, you open it up. It's a very narrow opening, usually 2 by 2, to put trash down that chute. This apparently had some sort of issue. It is collapsed, exposing that side of the building. I wanted to check and see if Thomas Von Essen, former FDNY commissioner, is with us. Thomas, are you there? All right, we will check back in with him in a little bit. But right now, we want to bring you back up to date with what we have. And the latest information that we have on this explosion from City Hall is that there have been no injuries. The incinerator shaft, it collapsed here in this 20-story building. So this is a 20-story building in which this happened. There are no reported injuries. They're evacuating this building, obviously, and the operations are ongoing, and we see that there has been, on a positive side, no smoke. Okay, so this is the latest that we have at the situation right now. The headline here, possible gas explosion, incinerator shaft collapse, 205 Alexander Avenue in the Bronx. We will be back if there's any official update on the situation. In the meantime, we return you to our streaming process, our streaming news, and thanks for staying with News 4.
All right, you are watching live coverage from the NBC in New York affiliate, talking about that possible gas explosion with the building collapse in the Bronx. So as soon as we learn more as well, we'll bring you back to those live pictures. Here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We continue to follow breaking news out of New York City. A live picture. That shot just went down, okay, but a gas explosion that is being investigated in the Bronx area. As soon as we see that live picture again, we'll bring that to you here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Well, of course, this morning the big story is that the federal government is seeing a shutdown. It began just after midnight this morning after the Senate failed to pass a short-term funding bill. Alice Barr from NBC News in Washington with the latest.
This morning, as the consequences of a government shutdown start rippling across the country on Capitol Hill, frustrated lawmakers starting a new clock to reopen.
It's time to end this and release the hostage. Let's get back to work.
Republicans and Democrats trading blame after two last-ditch funding votes failed in the Senate Tuesday night. Without the necessary 7 Democrats crossing over to back it, they're holding out to restore health care cuts and extend Obamacare subsidies.
Fix health care premiums and spare Americans the calamity of skyrocketing through the roof health care costs.
Republicans argue those discussions can wait, voicing pessimism about the current standstill.
There literally is nothing to negotiate. They're bringing in extraneous issues that don't have anything to do at all with keeping the government open.
Despite the shutdown, Social Security, Medicare, and VA benefits will continue along with student loans. But national parks could close, and roughly 750,000 federal workers could be furloughed. Many more, including TSA agents, required to work without pay until the shutdown ends.
We're looking for bombs, weapons, stuff like that, and you can't miss, right? So you don't want officers with added stress of how am I going to pay my bills?
President Trump raising the stakes, reiterating his threat of mass layoffs while blaming Democrats.
Cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things that they like, cutting programs that they like.
Democrats adamant those cuts are already happening, pushing for leverage now.
They've got to sit down and negotiate with Democrats.
As the nation waits for what's next. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
And of course, we have a lot of beautiful national parks around the Carolinas. Our Vanessa Rufus spoke to someone from the Grandfather Mountain Stewardship Foundation to see how this will affect the parks. And of course, it is leaf peeping time right now, so that could have an impact. This is part of their conversation here on WCNC Plus.
In the Carolinas, of course, there could be various impacts. And one of the ones that we wanted to talk about tonight, the potential impacts to national parks. Of course, a lot would be up in the air, but considering the fact that tourism is largely driven in Western North Carolina by the outdoor scene, if you will, this is something that is certainly catching the ear of folks in that area. In fact, we're joining now with Jesse Pope, who's the president and CEO of the Grandfather Mountain Stewardship Foundation. Jesse, thanks so much for joining us here tonight on Live Impact.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine y'all over at Grandfather Mountain are watching the potential impacts of this federal shutdown. Of course, worth noting that y'all are your own nonprofit entity. Grandfather Mountain State Park is obviously, as the name alludes to, a state park, but really the outdoor scene is interwoven very intimately with the national park system there in Western North Carolina. What are y'all potentially preparing for with a government shutdown?
Well, obviously, the Blue Ridge Parkway is very important to travel and tourism in Western North Carolina. At Grandfather Mountain, the nearest entrance to the park from where we are sees about 2 million vehicles passing by the Grandfather Mountain on the Blue Ridge Parkway. So they're a very important neighbor to us, certainly. They bring a lot of visitors to our park and really to all the gateway communities in Western North Carolina. Certainly certainly having a government shutdown as fall color is literally upon us here in October. The next 2 or 3 weeks, we expect to see tens of thousands of visitors in our community coming to visit. So would be a big negative impact with a government shutdown and the potential closing of the Blue Ridge Parkway around Grandfather Mountain in western North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, we just literally came off, several days of coverage of the 1-year anniversary of Helene. A lot of the messaging up from the high country was, y'all saying we're open for business. We've done a lot of hard work to get things largely restored so that visitors can come and enjoy. A lot of businesses are hoping for people to come and spend money up there. Have you been in contact at all with, Congress people, leaders of various sorts to kind of see, hey, how...
And we're going to get back to Vanessa's report and interview with how Grandfather Mountain is going to be affected. We're getting ready for a live guest here to join us on Live Impact News just after the break on Live Impact News on WCNC+. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC+. We are pivoting here for a moment because now that it is October 1st, we want to talk Halloween. Many of us already stocking up on all the sweet treats, hopefully not for just ourselves, but for the kiddos. And new data shows that we are going to spend about $7 billion with a B dollars on Halloween candy this year. That's nearly 1/5 of all candy sales nationwide. So joining us right now is Carly Schildhaus from the National Confectioners Association, breaking down this year's spookiest and sweetest trends. Hi, Carly. Thanks for joining us.
Hi. Thanks so much for having me. Happy Halloween season.
Happy Halloween season. Love it. Love seeing all the decorations on people's homes and having the sweet treats on hand. A massive number. What did I just say? 7.4 billion. What is driving our love affair with Halloween treats?
Chocolate and candy are able to enhance occasions and holidays, seasons like the Halloween season, and so people really connect with chocolate and candy. It has this ability to brighten moods and lighten spirits, but at the same time, people do understand that chocolate and candy are different from other foods. They are a treat meant to be enjoyed occasionally, not a meal replacement or center of the plate food. And to that end, people in the U.S. enjoy chocolate and candy about 2 to 3 times per week, averaging just 40 calories and 1 teaspoon of added sugar, even including these candy moments like the Halloween season.
All right. So what are we talking about for the hottest candy trends this season? Any surprise favorites?
I mean, it's a really important question to ask because 94% of Americans say that they plan to share chocolate and candy during the Halloween season with friends and family. Coming in at number 1 is chocolate. Probably not a surprise to anyone. People love it year round, and it's a great bet for Halloween. At number 2, we have gummy candy. So as you think about the innovation that the confectionery industry is really known for, things like gummy candy are a perfect example of that, whether it's new and innovative flavors or some really cool, unique, maybe even spooky shapes for the season. The third one is admittedly controversial. It's candy corn. And no matter how you feel about it, you do have to admit that it is an iconic part of the Halloween season. And then if you're looking for just a little bit more inspiration, rounding out the top 5 are hard candies and lollipops.
I do like the gummy candies myself. They are fun. All right, so it says that part of your survey, 83% of parents reach into their kids' trick-or-treat bags. What are they reaching for first?
I mean, any of those treats that we just mentioned, it's so dependent per person. And what's really special about the confectionery industry is that there is something for everyone, no matter what your taste preference, dietary consideration, even just your interest in that moment, there is something for you. And again, the confectionery industry does continue to innovate throughout understanding what consumers enjoy, what they're excited about. And then on the parents thing, 83% of parents admit to taking from their children. I think that other 17% might not be telling us the full truth.
All right, exactly. And it says here that 89% of people say Halloween seasonal treats are more fun with the packaging, the fun shapes during the season. So it seems like presentation is a factor here.
Absolutely. I think as people think about how chocolate and candy can enhance the season, for a lot of people, it's that connection to themes for the season. So maybe that's packaging, maybe it's a shape, maybe it's just feeling that connection to something nostalgic that they remember from their past, something that has a nice memory attached to it. And to that point, I think that chocolate and candy, again, have this unique ability to evoke that emotion, that feeling in people, and getting to have something that has a little bit of a Halloween spin during the Halloween season is a really important part of that for people across the country.
And beyond the fun, let's talk about the economy, the business behind the sweet treats. Can you talk about the jobs and what the industry does for the economic impact?
Yes, of course. Those small treats make a really big impact. We, in the United States, employ nearly 58,000 people in confectionery manufacturing jobs across 1,600 manufacturing facilities that span all 50 states. So no matter where you are, chocolate and candy are being produced near you. And we see $54 billion in retail sales each year.
Oh, that is nice to see that. At least, some positive news for the sweet treats. Everything in moderation, right? All right, Carly, anything else we need to know? Maybe how to eat a candy corn? What's the proper way to eat a candy corn?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that. We asked that question. No matter how you feel about candy corn, you might have an opinion on the right way to eat it. We asked that hard question. 28% of people start with that smaller white end and work up layer by layer. 15% of people start with that wider yellow end and work in the other direction. And then almost 60% of Americans, they just go for it. They eat that entire piece at once.
Yeah, I don't know what I do. I'll have to be aware of how I eat this. Carlene's looking at me like Carlene goes for it.
I go for it.
All right.
Handful.
Pop that little sugar thing in your mouth and call it a day.
Let her rip.
Carly Childhouse, thank you so much for the data and breaking down, good information. That was fun.
Thank you so much for having me, and happy Halloween season.
Happy Halloween season to you. Appreciate the time.
Thanks.
All right, that was good, sweet treats to chew on, I suppose. Live Impact News here on WCNC Plus. Just about 9:30 right now. Let's go ahead and take a quick break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Time right now is 9:30. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We appreciate your time every day, every hour of the day, mostly, here on WCNC Plus as we bring you local news, live feeds, national as well as international. Of course, the government shutdown, a big story today. And the live picture we have right now is a breaking news situation that we are following out of New York City. This is in the Bronx, looking at a live picture from the NBC affiliate in New York, where part of a high-rise apartment building has collapsed just after 8 a.m. Emergency crews got the call, many calls there on the corner. So there's about a 20-story building. The city's fire department says no immediate reports of injuries remarkably. We're hearing that it is a possible gas explosion as they investigate and clean things up there. They're going to be there pretty much for the rest of the day. I would expect even through the rest of the week. But video here just showing that the one corner of this building is pretty much collapsed to the ground. And we have learned that the building is city-owned public housing. It may have occurred in the incinerator part of the building, the gas incinerator part of the building. So we're continuing to follow that breaking situation out of New York City in the Bronx neighborhood. We are also talking about the government shutdown, how that affects federal workers. About 750,000 federal workers are expected to be impacted, as the Senate is also meeting today, and they will vote. Congress will vote on the same two bills that they were unable to pass last night. So federal government shutdown in effect as of 12:01 this morning. Let's go to a press conference right now out of Maryland. A governor speaking right now on the shutdown and other state leaders. Let's go ahead and listen in on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Our government workers, of which I have 35,000 of them within the 6th District of Maryland. The important part, I would say, is that we also cannot sign off on a bill that makes life harder and less affordable for working Americans, that throws up to 9,000 people in the 6th District off of their health care, that almost doubles premiums for all Americans, and also undercuts so many vital services that are needed across the county and the state in terms of food security and other vital services. It is my intent to work as hard as I can to make sure that we reopen government as expeditiously as we can. But we have to have another side that will come to the table and will actually dialogue. Because an administration or a party that demands everything they want all the time on every issue and every budget and is unable to dialogue is one in which we have to make sure that there is a clear line. My office is open. We have an FAQ on our website. We will continue to dialogue, and I will be in Germantown later today at one of our health and regional services center to talk about the impact of this shutdown, but also how we can mitigate it and work across so many different stakeholders to be there. Again,
Looks like that feed frozen there out of Maryland, but right now there is another live event happening. This is the South Carolina Medical Affairs Subcommittee. They're having a hearing on the abortion bill happening right now here. Let's listen in.
Here is going to be to alternate a witness who is for and then a witness who is against until we run out of our allotted time. So appreciate your cooperation in these matters. And
start.
Okay, so we will have a couple of more senators coming in, I believe, before we get started. Just so you know, there are two senators here who are just here for observing, Senator Devine and Senator Rice, and the other members up here are members of the subcommittee. So I am going to ask you, please, for a brief moment of prayer, and then we'll begin. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all your goodness and kindness to each one of us, each person in this room, regardless, Lord, of where we stand and what we believe about the topics at stake. We know that we are all created in your image, that you love each one. Pray you bless these proceedings today. In Christ's name, amen. Okay, what do you have? Each person who comes forward to testify will have 2 minutes, and we will have a piece of paper that is held up when you're like 30 seconds away from your 2-minute limit. The yellow piece of paper, is that where it's going to be?
That's right.
And then there'll be a red piece of paper, means you need to stop. If you don't see the paper and you're not wrapping up after a few seconds, I'm going to have to call that to your attention. Okay, so any other housekeeping, Mr.? Okay, do you have the list? Do you want to call someone forward?
Mr. Chairman, our first speaker this morning, in accordance with the format that you've announced, is Trent Still.
Good morning. Thank you for hearing me this morning. Thank you for all being here. The prophet Isaiah says, "As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy paths." This verse of Holy Scripture reveals that it is a curse for children and women to lead a people, especially the Lord's people. We find ourselves in a situation where if children were our leaders, we might be better off, at least with regard to the matters at hand. They would be able to tell us the truth of abortion as we need to hear it, as only they could tell it. Though their leadership would be a curse, at least it might get us closer to the truth. One could also argue that women rule as well, even if not physically, they do so psychologically. It is undeniable that sinful empathy or ungodly and misguided sympathy towards women drives the wrong decisions that bring us here today. My plea is for those who have the power to make the right call, to indeed make the right call, based on the fear of God. The scriptures tell us that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. That is not a second place fear that's called for. It is the chief fear that you must.
Well, we are going to try to get that feed back up. It does seem that it has dropped on their end. Let's go ahead and take a break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus at 9:41. Let's go back to the South Carolina Senate hearing on abortion bill happening live right now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Out of the state. This bill will leave South Carolina in shambles and set a dangerous precedent for the rest of the country. For the sake of every woman in this state and everyone who loves them, I beg you to please stop Senate Bill 323. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, next is Mark Corral.
Mark Corral, I signed up on the for side. I'll be speaking for the bill, speaking on the bill today. Good morning. My name is Mark Corral. I'm the president of Equal Protection South Carolina. I'm a father and a pastor. We're encouraged by the sentiment of this bill and the bill author's passion to end abortion. The imposition of a criminal penalty on all culpable parties involved in an abortion is a commendable departure from the pro-life establishment, which advocates for legislation providing total legal immunity to all mothers who willfully murder their preborn children. We believe murdering anyone should be illegal for everyone. However, we believe that there are two ways in which this bill must be strengthened for us to give it our full support. First, the bill should be amended to protect all children beginning at fertilization, not from the moment of a clinically diagnosable pregnancy. Second, this bill should also be amended to provide preborn babies the absolute equal protection of South Carolina laws. Now, even though if this bill is enacted would become America's strongest anti-abortion law, it will not establish the equal legal protection for all preborn babies. Failing
Real quick, want to get you to some breaking news right now. 3,000 plus Duke Energy customers are without power at this very moment in North Charlotte. Right now, time is 9:43. The estimated time of restoration is 11:45. So as the status of this is being updated, we'll keep you updated. But right now, just over 3,000 customers without power. The cause, according to Duke Energy, by a vehicle damaging equipment. So hopefully they should repair that here in the next couple of hours, but something to keep in mind in North Charlotte. Looks like north of...
This is the Highland Creek area, so
Okay.
it's north of 45. So if you zoom out here, you see the loop,
outer
and
loop.
Then, yeah, there it's like Highland Creek.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I see it now. Highland Creek. Thanks, Carlene. All right, let's get you back to the South Carolina Senate hearing on the abortion bill that's happening live on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
There are 2 Republicans sitting here today that were on the wrong side of the issue, and they lost their seat. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, next is Emma Giglio.
My name is Emma Giglio, and I'm against this bill. I live in Somerville with my husband and our children. We are your neighbors, small business owners, and we love this state. But more than anything, I am a mom. And my baby, our 3rd boy, Sia, was wanted. After miscarrying 6 months earlier, we were overjoyed when I got a positive pregnancy test. Everything looked normal until our 20-week scan. That day, we learned Sia's organs, his brain, heart, kidneys, liver were failing. For 4 weeks, we saw every expert in the state. Sorry, 1 second. Hoping for answers. Instead, we were told he would soon begin to suffer from the damage happening inside his body, and whether he would even survive at all. The most loving and compassionate choice we could make as his parents was to spare him pain and to protect me so I could keep raising the children we had at home. But South Carolina's current abortion ban forced us out of state. We had to leave our sons, our community, our trusted doctors, and travel hundreds of miles for care. Less than 24 hours after giving birth to Sia, I was sitting in an airport, bleeding and broken, flying home without him. We had to leave our baby in another state. That was only part of the trauma. Every detail cut deeper. Having to call an abortion clinic, transferring medical records, arranging childcare, packing in fear, traveling while pregnant and grieving. In that out-of-state clinic we held Sia, we told him he was loved and we sang him to sleep. If S323 had been law then, the trauma would have been even worse. My doctor's hands would have been tied even further. Families without the resources we had would be devastated. Pregnancy is unpredictable and complex. You never know what will happen until you hold your crying baby in your arms. I believe every one of us is capable of showing compassion in these situations. But bills like S323 blur the lines for moms and dads, for doctors and for the families and neighbors who step in when tragedy strikes. I urge you, don't make families suffer more than they already have to. Please vote no on S323. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, next is John Rice Cameron.
Before you start my time, I've got a handout for the members of the committee if someone could get this to distribute it. It just speaks to the importance of the criminalization aspect of this bill. Thank you. Thank you. My name is John Rice Cameron, and I'm the legislative liaison at the Foundation to Abolish Abortion, testifying on the bill. This bill would be the strongest anti-abortion law in America if passed, and I will speak to that. However, this bill needs 2 very important amendments, which I will outline. The strongest aspect of this bill is the imposition of criminal penalties on all perpetrators of abortion. Following the Dobbs decision in states regulating abortion at 6 weeks or prior from 2019 to 2024, the number of abortions procured by state residents rose by 35%. The data is undeniable. Pro-life laws currently on the books have failed to reduce abortions. These laws have failed to save lives because they provide total legal immunity to the mothers who perpetrate abortions, allowing them to use abortion pills by exploiting this massive loophole. This bill would take the vital step forward by criminalizing abortion for everyone involved, making it the first anti-abortion law to actually ban abortion. However, this bill needs 2 amendments. First, the bill should legally classify abortion as murder by providing equal protection to preborn children. By capping the penalties at 30 years, this bill provides a lesser degree of protection to preborn children than that applied to born people, denying them equal protection. Unfortunately, this shows partiality in judgment, which God forbids, and is not compliant with the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Secondly, we recommend amending existing language prohibiting abortion after a, quote, diagnosable pregnancy to apply it instead at fertilization. The current language leaves children conceived in IVF unprotected. Millions of children are dying due to blatantly homicidal IVF practices, which include discarding children fertilized in vitro and even abortion after implantation through selective reduction. The IVF industry must treat human embryos with a proper standard of care. These children are created in the image of God and deserve equal protection too. Thank you very much for the time today. I urge you to pass this bill if these amendments are included. I'm happy to take any questions from the committee. See none. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, up next is Dr. Tyne Tyson.
Hello, my name is Dr. Tyne Olivia Tyson. I'm a doctor of internal medicine in my 3rd year of residency. I'm speaking in opposition to Senate Bill 323. My views are my own and do not represent the views or opinions of my employer. While I oppose the current 6-week abortion ban on a fundamental level, today I would like to speak with you about the impact Bill 323 would have on the physician-patient relationship. This bill creates a felony charge for anybody who, quote, aids, abets, or conspires with a person seeking an abortion. This includes providing information on how to safely and legally obtain an abortion. This is a horrific breach of the sacred physician-patient relationship. Confidentiality is considered a, quote, fundamental tenet of medical care, and I am quoting the American College of Physicians Ethical Manual. 7th edition. As their doctor, my patients feel safe asking me about their worst fears and deepest secrets. People have asked me questions like, am I developing Alzheimer's? How do I know if I'm drinking too much? Are my children going to get this cancer too? And in the privacy of the clinic room, my patients can trust I'll provide them with honest information and help them get the care that they need. Within the framework of a confidential relationship, we can address these concerns together. They don't need to worry that I'm going to hold back information or violate their privacy. On the other hand, during my time working in the hospital, I can think of countless examples where proper treatment was delayed or patients endured unnecessarily invasive testing because they were terrified to disclose their social history to me. If passed, Bill 323 would create an environment where all people who can become pregnant would view their providers with mistrust and feel unsafe confiding in us. If Bill 323 became law, it would undermine the physician-patient relationship. If you value being able to turn to your provider in times of crisis and receive honest counsel, I ask you to vote against Bill 323. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, next speaker is Hayden Lay. Okay. Hayden Lay. Okay. Kylie Waldrop.
Good morning. Kylie Waldrop for the bill.
Subcommittee members, again, my name is Kylie Waldrop. I serve as City Director of Love Life Greenville. We minister to moms and dads outside of the largest abortion center in South Carolina. Since 2020, we've seen over 100 moms choose life. Many of those are now involved in local churches being loved on by the body of Christ. We praise God for that. I also serve as pastor of Dominion Church in Anderson, South Carolina. And I come today from both of these capacities to urge you to do what the Word of God requires of you, to bring justice to the fatherless. The Word of God tells us that the civil magistrate, you, is to be a terror to the evildoer and a rewarder of righteousness. You, as legislators in South Carolina, have been given this duty by God, and you will answer first to Him. And I would encourage each of you today to think long and hard about this reality. Neither of you can divorce yourself from it. When you pass from life to death, you will stand before God and give an account not to your constituents, but to the God who requires of you to act justly. Our precious preborn neighbors are being slaughtered every single day, Monday through Thursday, in Greenville, South Carolina, and weekly in Columbia and Charleston. Our team are eyewitnesses every week to dozens of moms and dads who have appointments at Greenville Women's Clinic to have their preborn child murdered in cold blood. This is simply an atrocity and it must stop. And we are calling you, as our civil magistrates, to put an end to it as God requires. We urge you to think long and hard on these things. We are praying for you, that you would, by the strength of God, do what's right simply because it's right. Senators, now is not the time to play politics. Lives are at stake and God is watching. I would like to remind the committee that there are 2 former Republican senators in this room who are on the wrong side of this issue, and they are no longer senators. Establish equal protection and equal justice for our preborn neighbors, and do it now. In God's name, amen.
Mr. Chairman, next speaker is Sarah Frick. Sarah Frick. Okay. Professor Deborah Billings.
My name is Deborah Billings, and I am speaking in vehement opposition to this bill. I'm a public health professional, and I'm the mother of a teen who is educated in South Carolina public schools. I have spoken before these subcommittees for many years, told you about my miscarriages, et cetera, et cetera. This time I'm going to use my time to talk about the most egregious attack on our dignity and humanity, written as S-323. In the time that I have, I want to focus on Section 5 of S-323, a small but significant section that amends Section 593230 of the South Carolina Code, specifically referring to the 1988 Comprehensive Health Education Act, or CHEA. For several years, I was part of an effort to amend the CHEA to add the simple but significant clause that what is presented to our youth in schools, elementary through high school, is medically accurate. Common sense, right? That amendment was consistently rejected. And here's why this is significant. Section 5 of S-323 would mandate the presentation of a high-quality computer-generated rendering or animation of the Meet Baby Olivia video created by Live Action, an extreme anti-abortion, anti-birth control, anti-IVF group whose agenda has no place in our taxpayer-funded schools. Section 5 also states that the Attorney General may bring civil action for a writ of mandamus to compel a public school district to comply with showing the video. There are no specifications for parents opting out of this content, an option that parents can now practice for the most basic educational content related to human growth and development. So much for parental rights, right? Something that many of you speak out about time and time again. If passed, Section 5 would be implemented in the 2026-2027 school year. In sum, our children and youth deserve accurate information, not indoctrination. Vote no on S-323 if you respect South Carolinians and truly care about life.
Mr. Chairman, next speaker is Matt Brock.
Good morning. Matt Brock, Executive Director at Equal Protection South Carolina, speaking mostly in favor of the bill, but I'm not primarily here to speak.
We'll get back to comments there from from Columbia, South Carolina, on the abortion bill that they are trying to pass. Right now, let's take a break on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Ten o'clock here on a Wednesday morning. You're watching Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal. Federal government shut down at 12:01 this morning after state leaders, our country leaders, could not reach a short-term funding bill. So this morning the Senate will meet again and will vote on the two bills that they were not able to pass yesterday. We are also waiting for GOP leadership. They are expected to hold a press conference and speak soon on the shutdown here from Washington, D.C., a live picture right now. As we wait for that, we are also going to have some of our local experts here in the Carolinas weigh in on Live Impact News, political professors from Catawba College as well as Winthrop University. How we got to this point, what this means, and what we can expect. In the meantime, let's go ahead back to Columbia, South Carolina. This is happening live right now, where it looks like it is public comment as folks weigh in on the abortion bill that is on the table, and it is the South Carolina Medical Affairs Subcommittee hearing happening now. Let's listen in on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
In prison, am I allowed to teach my students the normal female reproductive physiology and the pharmacokinetics of the medications that we use to manage those? I have a Hippocratic oath. I adhere to my own personal moral and ethical responsibilities, and I will not be able to comply with this law. My medical training does not allow it. We're already facing a shortage of OBGYNs in South Carolina, and it's untenable to expect quality medical professionals to practice in a climate where their careers and their freedom are at stake. What is your plan if we reach a point where there are no OBGYNs left to provide care? Your unconstitutional laws cannot deny medication to my patients. Already, access to critical information and care has been impeded. I have a patient standing here with me who was denied the care that she needed, not for an abortion, but for general health care, and abortion access is health care. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Chairman, next is Tammy Kale.
Good morning. My name is Tammy Kale, and I am in support of S323 this morning. As some of you may know, some of you may remember my face. I hope you do. I remember yours. I hope you don't forget this day. For those of you that don't know me or my story, my mother was a senior in high school when she found out she was pregnant. My father was just a few years older than her, and though he had quite a future ahead of him, he chose a path to be a rapist and a pedophile. I was conceived as a result of a horrible act of violence. To my knowledge, my father never served a day in jail for committing such a crime or for repeatedly preying on young girls. But because of the path that he chose, by the age of 46, he was found lying face down in a pool of blood, stabbed to death.
We are going to leave those public comments right now out of Columbia, South Carolina on the proposed abortion bill because happening right now, GOP holding a live press conference from Washington, D.C. Let's go ahead and listen in here on the government shutdown. You can see House Speaker Mike Johnson. This is Live Impact News on WCNC+.
The American people will not be able to experience today. On a normal day, of course, you have tens of thousands of visitors here, family, you have school groups that come and visit. They walk these grounds. We have about 7,000 people who visit this Capitol each and every day. But today that's not going to be the case. Today America's boys and girls will walk up to these doors and they'll see something different, a sign that says closed until further notice. And that's because at midnight, the Democrats followed through on their threat to shut down the United States government. As we speak here this morning, there are hundreds of thousands of federal workers who are getting their furlough notices. Nearly half of our civilian workforce is being sent home. These are hardworking Americans who work for our federal government. Our troops and our Border Patrol agents without pay. Food assistance, veterans benefits, and vital support for women and children are all coming to a halt. Now, thankfully, President Trump is trying to mitigate the damage as much as possible. His administration is working to limit the harm to the American people. But the longer this goes on, the more pain will be inflicted because it is inevitable when the government shuts down. The sad thing about it is that every single bit of this was entirely avoidable. Democrats could have worked with us in a bipartisan manner to avert this unnecessary and very harmful shutdown. But instead, they did something that is rather shocking to us. They prioritized taxpayer-funded benefits for illegal aliens over keeping the government open for American citizens. They themselves position that as a binary choice, and it's patently absurd. Listen to what the Democrats are demanding. They demanded, in exchange for our simple, clean, 24-page, bipartisan continuing resolution, the same one that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats voted for just a few months back in March. In exchange for that, they rejected it, and they demanded something else. They wanted us to add over $1.5 trillion in new federal spending, paid for, of course, by hardworking American taxpayers, simply for funding the government at current Biden level spending levels. We are not going to do that. We can't do that. We won't do it. Almost 2 weeks ago, the House did our job. In the House, we passed a common sense, nonpartisan bill to keep the government open. Republicans did our job. We had one Democrat join us there, so it was bipartisan. But every other Democrat in the House voted to shut the government down. And last night, 44 Democrats in the Senate did the same thing. This is a clean resolution. It would simply buy Congress a few more weeks, 7 weeks, to finish the job. Why do we need that time? So that appropriators in both parties can finish their work. They've been restoring regular order. They've passed 12 separate bills out of committee in the House, and the Senate has done its work as well. 3 bills of the 12 passed in each chamber. They don't line up exactly, so there's a conference committee constituted, the first time in years that that's happened. We just need more time because we ran out of clock at the end of the fiscal year, September 30. This is very important to note. Democrats themselves have voted to pass a clean bipartisan CR just like this 13 times in the last few years. During the 4 years of the Biden administration, 13 times this happened. Republicans did the responsible thing, even when we were in the minority, to keep the government open. And today should be no different. There is nothing new in this legislation. There's no poison pill. There's no partisan tricks. There's no gimmicks whatsoever. The only difference today is the man who is sitting in the Oval Office. Rather than work with President Trump and Republicans to get this job done, as our party has done repeatedly in the same situation over the years, Democrats want to play political games with the lives and the livelihoods of Americans. The simple truth is Democrats in Congress have dragged our country into another reckless shutdown to satisfy their far-left base. That is the truth. Whether or not the government remains open or reopens is entirely up to them. There's still time for Democrats to pass this clean bipartisan bill that's sitting before them, and we encourage our Democrat colleagues to do that. I certainly pray they'll come to their senses soon and do the right and responsible thing. The reason they will have one more opportunity today is because of the sound leadership that is being provided in the U.S. Senate by our colleagues who are standing here with us. This is a joint press conference, as you know, between leadership, Republican leadership in the House and the Senate, and I'm delighted to yield to my good friend and an extraordinary leader in the Senate, Leader John Thune.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and our House colleagues for doing the work. You sent us a clean, continuing resolution. Unfortunately, we are here this morning in a government shutdown that the Democrats wanted. Chuck Schumer, at the behest of a bunch of liberal, far-left activist groups, has walked his Democrat colleagues into a boxed canyon. There's no way out, folks. There's no way out. This could have been avoided. It's totally unavoidable. And everybody's now asking the question, how does this end? Well, it ends when the Senate Democrats pick this bill up, passed by the House of Representatives, and vote for it. It's on the floor of the Senate. We're going to vote later this morning on this, 24 pages. Does this look partisan? Does this look dirty to you? 24 pages to fund the government. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing else. The House kept it simple. We kept it simple in the Senate. This is something, as the Speaker noted, that 13 times in the past Senate Democrats have done when they were in the majority and Joe Biden was in the White House. This is a very straightforward issue. It's not complicated. They want it to end. Vote with us to open up the government by voting this out of the Senate today, putting it on President Trump's desk, and he will sign it into law. President, House Republicans, Senate Republicans, we're all united on this. And what's interesting now is some of the Democrats are joining us. Our vote last night was a bipartisan vote. There were 3 Democrats that came over and voted with us because they know this strategy is a losing one, and it hurts the American people. It's not about who wins or who loses or who gets blamed in all this. It's about the American people. And they have taken the American people hostage in a way that they think benefits them politically, but at the consequence and the cost of what's going to happen to the American families if this government shutdown continues. And so I'm glad to be here with our Republican colleagues. Our Democrat colleagues in the House have been around here the last few days, I guess, flailing around, celebrating the fact that they voted to shut down the government. How ironic. Well, this can all end today, folks. It needs to end today. We will continue to work together with our House counterparts, with the President of the United States, to get this government open again on behalf of the American people. Next up is, there he is, the leader.
Thank you, Leader Thune. Today marks day 1 of the Schumer shutdown. As Speaker Johnson pointed out, this didn't need to happen. House Republicans came together weeks ago to prevent a government shutdown. We brought as straightforward of a bill as you can have to say, let's allow government to be funded for another 2 months while we negotiate our differences. Clearly, we have differences with Democrats right now. One of the Democrat leaders confirmed yesterday that Democrats shut the government down to fund health care for illegal aliens. That is no way to hold the American people hostage over some far left demand. You know, we had an election in November where the country came together and said, let's send to Washington leaders who want to solve problems and get our country back on track. And we've been working feverishly to do that, to get this country back on track, to get the economy moving, to lower inflation, to lower interest rates. And Democrats, just to appease their far left radical base, have been voting no every step of the way. Well, today it has consequences, because when Hakeem Jeffries whipped every Democrat to vote no and shut the government down, luckily in the House we only needed a majority vote. We were able to come together and do the right thing and get that bill over to the Senate. But as everybody knows, in the Senate, you also need Democrats to come together with Republicans to get 60 votes. And so when Chuck Schumer made such a fatally flawed decision to shut the government down, ultimately the American people, I think, are going to get involved and demand that Chuck Schumer reverse course, because it's not sustainable. The American people do not want to be held hostage to Chuck Schumer's radical demands to fund illegal health care and, oh, by the way, to cut and gut $50 billion out of rural hospitals. That's in the bill that Chuck Schumer filed as his alternative. That's outrageous. You want to talk about a partisan demand to hold the American people hostage? That's what Chuck Schumer's done. We have a bill that is clean, that just keeps these negotiations going for another 2 months while the government stays open. And all Chuck Schumer needs to do is get over the tantrum that he's having with the results of the election from November and vote yes to keep the government open. We are here ready to get the job done. Schumer needs to end his shutdown and finally join with us, and let's start real negotiations without holding the American people hostage. With that, I want to bring up my friend, the whip of the Senate, Whip Barrasso.
Well, today we're in the middle of the Schumer shutdown. The Democrats have caved in to the radical wing of the Democrat Party, caved in completely, abandoned the American people in the process. And why? Well, one of the reasons is Chuck Schumer wants to try to prove to somebody that he's more liberal than AOC. Yesterday in the Senate floor, the cracks started to appear in the Democrat base. 3 Democrats voted with the Republicans to prevent a shutdown. And why? Because they know the American people are hurt when the government shuts down. We hurt our military, who may be without pay. We hurt our veterans, who may not get health care. Today, the Senate is going to vote again and give the Democrats an opportunity to open the government by passing the continuing resolution, to give us 7 weeks to do the appropriations process, to get the government open again. That's what the American people want. It's what the American people deserve. And today we'll see how many Democrats vote with us to end the Schumer shutdown. And now the whip of the House of Representatives, Tom Emmer.
A government shutdown serves no one. Government shutdowns unleash chaos on federal workers, delay pay for service members, and weaken our position on the global stage. To hold these people hostage instead of just letting them do their jobs is so wrong. These aren't my words. These are the words of congressional Democrats over the last 6 years. I hope that they will listen to their own advice for once. Let's be clear about how we got here. Republicans did our job. We did the right and reasonable thing by passing a nonpartisan, clean CR to keep the government open while we work to return the appropriation process to regular order. The reason the government is shut down this morning is because the Democrats decided they would rather hold our government hostage and issue a $1.5 trillion ransom note of radical demands and then instead of joining us as we try to govern. Make no mistake, their top priority is not fighting for Americans' health care. Their top priority is picking a fight with President Trump and scoring political points with their far-left base in the process. The American people aren't fools, however, and they won't be used as pawns in this ridiculous game. To my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, it's not too late. You can still do the responsible thing by passing our clean CR in the Senate and sending it to President Trump's desk immediately. The time for staged photo ops, selfies, and scripted talking points is over. The time for deliberate action is now. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chairman Cotton, our honorary Minnesotan.
Well, I want to thank Speaker Johnson and House Republicans for doing their job, passing a simple, straightforward funding bill to keep the government open for 7 weeks. But here we are in a Schumer shutdown. And why are we in a Schumer shutdown? I think we all know the answer to that. Because Chuck Schumer is scared of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And Chuck Schumer is scared of his radical left-wing base. That's why we're in the Schumer shutdown. How do we get out of it? Again, let's be clear. As President Trump, Speaker Johnson, and Senator Thune have been, the Democrats need to pass the House's 7-week funding bill. Until then, there's nothing to negotiate. There's no compromises to be had. There's no games. There's no back channels. There's another vote today in the Senate. And Senate Democrats will hopefully do the right thing. And if they don't today, then they'll have another chance later this week and next week and as long as it takes until the Senate passes the House bill. That's the way we will end this needless Schumer shutdown. I now welcome Chairwoman McClain.
Well, good morning, everybody. Let me put this as plainly as I can. House Republicans voted to keep the government open with a clean CR. Period. End of conversations. No gimmicks, no partisan demands, and yet all but one House Democrat voted no. All but one voted to shut our government down. And why? Because Democrats would rather shovel $1.5 trillion of your hard-earned money into radical projects. Handouts for illegals and climate schemes in foreign countries. Now just think about that for 1 minute. Millions of Americans got up before dawn this morning and will put in 8, 9, 10 hours today and get a paycheck. But you know what? That paycheck is theirs. And Democrats want to waste their paychecks. Listen, Democrats can hold all the press conferences they want. They can spin and lie all day long. But a press conference won't open the government. The only thing that will is passing the clean, common sense bill that Republicans have delivered. And I will close with this. The radical Democrats want to use your hard-earned money to fund radical programs. They want to use your hard-earned money to give illegal immigrants free government benefits. And I would say, Chuck Schumer, you might want to check with Maxine Waters because she doesn't think that's a lie. And what do Democrats want to do? They want to use your money to fund climate change in foreign countries, all while taking away money from our rural hospitals. This is not wrong. It's plain insulting. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my friend, Shelley Moore Capito.
Well, I'm the cleanup hitter here, and a privilege to be here with the leadership of the House, the Speaker, and others, and the leadership here in the Senate. The resounding theme that I've heard today is hijack and hostage. The American people are being held hostage, and the process has been totally hijacked. We've heard repeatedly how simple, how nonpartisan, how easy, the bill that Leader Thune has shown us today in terms of keeping the government open, how easy that is to vote for, to give us the 7 weeks while we work out our differences. But not only am I on leadership, I'm also on the Senate Appropriations Committee. The process of appropriating has been hijacked. And that's fine for the Democrats, because last year Chuck Schumer did not put one single appropriations bill on the Senate floor. Our leader has put 3 on the Senate floor, and our committee has passed 8 bills out of appropriations. That's the process to get the will of the American people, where their priorities are, where they want to see us as a nation go with spending their hard-earned tax dollars. So while we have held hostage the American people to keep them from doing things that they like touring the Capitol or accessing benefits or the services that are provided by our federal government, they've also hijacked a process that we need to have in order to demonstrate to the American people what we promised them in this election and what President Trump promised them. We're going to go back to regular order. We're going to appropriate the dollars. We're going to be fully transparent. And we're not going to ride on some continuing resolution that spends like President Biden wanted to spend. We're going to put our own imprint on this for the American people. That's what they wanted when they voted us in, and that's what we want to give them. Thank you.
I want to thank all the senators for being here with us and the House leadership team. These folks have worked very hard. I really appreciate that context that Chairwoman Moore Capito just added here, reminding everyone that this has been a bipartisan process. The appropriators are doing their work. Republicans are in charge of Congress in both chambers, and we are returning the work of Congress back to regular order. But it takes time to do that. We have to rebuild muscle memory. As noted, Chuck Schumer didn't do that process at all. And so it's hard work. It takes a lot of time on the calendar, and all we're asking for is a little extra time. We took the liberty this morning to play the highlight reel of everything our Democrat colleagues have said for the last several decades about shutdowns. Use their own words. We'll roll that out, and it'll be in the hallway for you later today. You can see that as well. To remind everyone that they always said that shutting the government down would be dangerous, destructive, selfish, and irresponsible. And suddenly now they've changed their tune. Don't buy it. The American people are not buying it. Chuck Schumer was reminded of a New York Times poll that came out yesterday. 65% of respondents are saying to the Democrats, do not shut the government down if you don't get what you want. I think that number is going to rise dramatically as the pain increases, and it is the pain that they have caused. We'll take a few questions.
That was the GOP House leadership speaking on the shutdown. You saw there in the little corner box, Chuck Schumer is on the Senate floor speaking live right now. Let's go ahead and dip into this live on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
So I was very glad this morning that some of the commentators on TV said that. When they say that undocumented immigrants are going to get this money, it's a lie, plain and simple. It's a lie so lazy and so outlandish it's easy to rebut. But again, let me be clear. Undocumented people cannot and will not receive premium tax credit by law. The federal government does not fund federal health insurance for undocumented immigrants in Medicaid or Medicare, period, full stop. So they don't care. Why? Because they know the American people are on our side, and they know they're going to get angrier and angrier starting today when they see these health care bills. Listen to this poll. A Kaiser Family Foundation poll found a whopping 75% of Americans support extending the ACA premium tax credit, including 63% of Republicans. When our Republican Senate and House colleagues go around their communities, of course the House isn't even here this week, as I mentioned, they're going to hear it in the barbershops and the restaurants and the diners and at the Little Leagues and at the Veterans Halls, because it's so shocking people are going to be talking about it. They'll see. And we Democrats are going to be there relentlessly letting people know why it happened. because our Republican colleagues did not want to help us out of this crisis. Instead, they wanted to give the dollars to billionaires. President Trump calls what the Democrats want radical. President Trump, it is not radical to say Americans deserve lower health care premiums. It is not radical to say we want to prevent the average American family from getting these huge increases, those on ACA, $1,000 a month. When Democrats say we want to work with Republicans to lower premiums, to strengthen health care, all we are doing is reflecting what the American people already want. Nothing more, nothing less. They want us to sit down and negotiate something real that takes this huge, huge burden off their shoulders. And Donald Trump, instead of acting like an adult, he's the most immature president we have ever had. Instead of doing something to stop the health care crisis, is threatening to hurt countless hardworking Americans. Let me repeat the quote Donald Trump said yesterday. We can do things during the shutdown that are irreversible. They're bad for them and irreversible, like cutting vast numbers of people out, cutting things they like, cutting programs they like. Donald Trump says it loud and clear. That's one thing about him. He is using the American people as pawns, threatening pain on the country as blackmail. Well, that's not going to work. The American people, it's so easy to see through those tactics. They know this is the Trump shutdown. They know Republicans control the presidency, the Senate, and the House. And what is done during the shutdown will fall squarely on the Republicans' back. Donald Trump even says it. He says he is going to close down all these things people want. It's going to fall right on his back. The American people will know who's doing it, and he's going to have to recoil from it, just as they have done so many cuts already, even before October 1st. And they had to back off on many of them, some because of the courts, but some because of public outcry, such as the huge cutbacks they made in the VA. Well, Democrats' positions hasn't changed. We're willing, ready, and able to negotiate. We're ready to reopen the government today. We've made our position clear about how to move forward. Surely, we can come together and agree we need to fix health care, and that needs to happen now, as people are getting these incredible increases. And within a few weeks, they're going to have to say what new health care, if they'll even keep their health care or have to cut it back or do something else that hurts them because they don't have the money. If Republicans work with us and fix America's health care crisis, the shutdown could go away very quickly. And that's what Democrats want, to end this now, fix health care now. It's the right thing to do for the American people. We urge our Republican colleagues, we urge President Trump to take yes for an answer. Yield the floor.
Just finished watching Chuck Schumer speak there on the Senate floor. We do know the full Senate's supposed to meet later on, reconvene at some point this morning, as well as vote on the two bills that they failed to pass last night. And that is why we are in the federal government shutdown as of 12:01 this morning. Let's take a break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We'll be back in 2. Well, welcome back to Live Impact News here on WCNC Plus. Time right now is 10:33. If you've been anywhere near the Charlotte Metro this week, you know Bank of America 400 is coming this Sunday to Charlotte Motor Speedway. And it's not just another race on the calendar. This event has become one of the most unpredictable, most exciting in the NASCAR Cup Series. We're looking at a live picture right now of Charlotte Motor Speedway and the man himself from the CLT MS Motor Speedway, Jonathan Coleman, joining us here in the Live Impact studio. Thanks, Jonathan, for coming in. First of all, appreciate your time here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So excited. I'm just going to show this, the winning trophy here first, here in the room. Look at this.
How cool is that, right?
Oh, I can't even get up that tall.
It's huge.
Wow. So the winner takes this on Sunday if they win, or when they win.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we felt like if you win a race as big as the Roval, because it is so unique and so different, you need a trophy that's memorable. You don't just need another something off the rack, right?
It's got the track inside of it too. That's so cool.
It does. So a little nod to the Queen City with the top there to look a little like the Bank of America building right here in Uptown, and then obviously the layout of the course itself. Because it's so unique and different, it is for the non-NASCAR fan. Charlotte Motor Speedway has always been raced on an oval track. It was built that way in 1960. We decided to mix it up back in 2018, and this will be our 8th year now of part of the oval and part of the road course itself. So it is unlike anything else the drivers do all year long, which is a unique challenge. And when you get them out of their comfort zone, you often create some great memories for fans because it creates some exciting racing for sure.
Yeah, it's just so different from the regular track.
Yeah,
right?
it just creates opportunities for more bumping and grinding and things, because usually the 600 is a lot of just oval. It's the oval,
sure.
But it presents a challenge, and it's more fun for the fans. I'll be quite honest. I love the
You
road.
like the
I've
road?
been
Yeah,
3 or 4 times.
Park Road.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and that was really the idea, was if you're an oval track kind of traditionalist, you can come out and join us in the spring, and you can have 600 miles and all that the Memorial Day weekend brings with the Coca-Cola 600. That's right. If you want something completely new and different, the Roval is 2.28 miles. It's 17 turns. You turn left, you turn right. You're lots of opportunities to mix it up with the other drivers, and it's also in the NASCAR playoffs, so that even heightens it even more when
it means something.
You've got a handful of those drivers that are still in contention for a championship at the end of the season, and that just adds to some of the drama and some of the craziness that happens out on the racetrack.
Now, does rain affect things? Because we have a little bit of a spotty forecast. There was some heavy rain. Was it last year?
Yes.
And that made for an interesting last part of the race.
Unlike on the oval, where rain is a 4-letter word. Rain is a bad word for sure. On the road course, because the speeds aren't quite as high, they actually make a wet weather tire. So we could actually run through, not a deluge like we saw earlier this week, but if need be, we could throw some wet weather tires on and again add one more layer of the unpredictability.
You increased the track by a little bit, right?
We did.
It doesn't sound like it's too much.
It's not too much at all, but when you pull into the infield, it adds about 3/4 of a mile from the traditional oval. So you've got just a little bit more racing surface and a lot more turns and corners to mix it up in. And last year we actually, for the first time in 7 years, I guess, we actually changed up a couple of the corners. So turn 7, which is right in front of the grandstands, kind of the high drama, high action corner, is a really tight hairpin corner. So it's a great chance to push that other driver out of the way or dive bomb and get in there and steal some track positions.
Yeah,
so
drama.
Always looking to add the drama and mix it up and make it more exciting.
All right. I like your whole, let's look at that little pink thing at the end there, because this is not only the race, the weather, the shape of the track, but this little pink net. Talk to us about this, Jonathan.
Yeah, so the Roval weekend is so much more than a race itself. So on Saturday, actually, our Xfinity Series race sponsor is Blue Cross of North Carolina. And for several years, we have painted pit wall pink as we kind of get into National Breast Cancer Awareness Month to celebrate those survivors, to teach a little bit about about the importance of early detection and those kinds of things. And for the last 4 years, we've actually done what we call the Windows for Hope program. So we partner with NASCAR driver Eric Jones and his foundation. Eric's mother is a breast cancer survivor. But they have coordinated with the help of NASCAR to have every Cup Series driver on Sunday race with a pink window net, and the drivers will autograph them at the end of the race, and we will auction them off next week and raise money for Project Pink, which is a local organization through Atrium Health and the Levine Cancer Center that helps those, once they've been diagnosed with breast cancer, kind of through that process of survivorship.
That's
with
great.
support and encouragement and some education around early detection. So again, just to take it another notch up from just being a race weekend, but really to use it as a platform to kind of spread some really important information as we kick off National Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
So unique. It's really great in so many levels. All right, so as far as you talked about the playoffs, and so this being an important race, a unique race, putting racing on it's on the map, obviously, but making Charlotte the place to be this weekend. Defending champion, is it Kyle Larson?
Kyle Larson.
Kyle Larson.
So Kyle is one of two-time winners on the Roval. So Kyle and his teammate Chase Elliott going to be two really popular picks to keep an eye on this weekend. I think both of them are still in that championship hunt. Their teammates until you get to those last few corners. And if you're a big NASCAR fan, you saw a little bit of that this past weekend with some of the other teammates who were still chasing with 2311 and Joe Gibbs Racing. Mix it up a little bit. So again, your teammates up until a point, and then you're all battling out for the same thing.
Then you're all about number one at a certain point.
That's absolutely right.
You want to get the boys and you want them to race. All right, let's talk about the technical things that fans need to know.
Yeah.
100,000 plus fans.
It is going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of people out there this weekend. Yeah, and I think the important thing too is that it is all weekend long. So we kick off on Friday. For the first time ever, we're going to have the Craftsman Truck Series racing out on the Roval. So that'll be if you think of it in baseball terms, kind of a double A or a triple A, kind of a minor league series. These are the guys that are still looking to kind of make their way up to the racing on Sundays and into the majors, I guess. But it'll be their first experience on the Roval. So again, complete chaos. And the way that NASCAR rules work, they haven't come out and tested. So Friday will be the first time that they're actually on the racetrack. They'll have about 20 minutes of practice. They'll have qualifying, and then they'll be out there to kind of see how it all shakes out.
Essentially winging it.
And absolutely, completely winging it. But throughout the day on Friday, it's really about the fans. We're hosting fans from 49 states. If you know anybody in North Dakota, give them a call. We're still trying to find that,
come on,
one set of fans.
North Dakota?
Absolutely. But 49 states and 11 foreign countries are going to be in town this weekend. So we're gonna welcome them all with what we call Joe Gibbs Racing Fan Fest on Friday night. We're gonna have racing drivers out there to sign autographs and shoot photos. We're gonna have a concert with Tim Duggar, a NASCAR country music favorite. We're going to have the hauler parade, so all of these big 53-foot tractor trailers that you see bringing the cars in are actually all going to parade right through the fan zone with a couple of NASCAR Hall of Famers and a few other special guests. So it'll be a big kickoff to the weekend. Saturday, we turn our attention to the Xfinity Series for the Blue Cross NC 250. And then Sunday, obviously, we're racing with the big boys for the Bank of America Roval 400.
All right, too much fun. Carlene's going to make it.
I'm going to try and make it.
Try to make it. We're looking at a live picture right now of Charlotte Motor Speedway, and you said people are bringing the haul in. I see the trailers being hauled into the middle.
We just, about an hour ago. But just open up the infield to the campers. So you can see the campers there rolling in to set up camp for the weekend. And another really unique thing about the Roval, you can see the one who's driving across the red, white, and blue mural there.
Right.
They are literally in the middle of the action.
Is that cool?
Right where that camper is parked, there are going to be race cars battling it out all weekend long. And we're going to be surrounded by campers. So a really unique experience to just be right in we call it the eye of the Roval, if you think of it in weather terms, kind of like the eye of the storm, because you're right in the middle of all of the fun and all of the action.
Isn't that awesome? It's going to be a great weekend. The weather's going to be great. I mean, perfect time for folks to visit Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend.
It's a fun race to go to. So if you have the chance to go.
Yeah.
If
you haven't been, what is the one thing that people need to know?
I think show up early and wear comfortable shoes. It's a big property, and there is a lot to see, and do. We've got a pre-race concert before we drop the green flag with country music star Ernest. We've got a huge fan zone right out in front of the speedway, so you can check out a lot of our partner activations. You can grab souvenirs from your favorite driver. We'll actually have driver appearances and things like that out there on Sunday morning before we kind of bring everybody inside to get ready for the race. So I would say check out our website, charlottemotorspeedway.com, find the schedule, figure out exactly where you want to park, because it is a big property, and you don't want to park on one side and end up on the fan zone on the other side. And I kind of joke about wearing comfortable shoes, but there's so much to see and do.
It's a lot of walking.
You want to make sure you're able to get around and see everything that there is to see.
Absolutely. You need the day. A lot of entertainment, a lot of great racing and chicane watching, and maybe a little weather watching there as well. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. It's unpredictable, and that's what we love about it.
Love it.
Absolutely.
All right. Jonathan Coleman from the Charlotte Motor Speedway joining us here in the Live Impact studio. Appreciate you coming in and bringing in this amazing trophy.
Stunning.
Get to touch it before it goes to the winner. All right.
Awesome.
Jonathan, thanks. Have a great time this weekend. If you are going to Charlotte Motor Speedway, it's going to be awesome. Here at 10:44, let's take a break on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. We'll be right back. Hi, everyone. Time right now is 10:46 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal. We have been following public comments at the South Carolina Medical Affairs Subcommittee hearing on an abortion bill. Let's go back to that here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
My husband and I have 6 children, but to be more specific, we have 2 living children. Our other 4 children died during the first trimester, one of which was an ectopic pregnancy, which is provided for in this bill. All 6 of our children were created in the image of God, were prayed for, and all of them have names. Years later, I still carry stem cells from each of these children in my body, but I still carry the grief of those losses of the children. But ultimately, the great physician is healing me. God's law prohibits the premeditated, unlawful, and unjust taking of human life. Exodus 20. God appoints governing authorities to carry out his wrath on wrongdoers. Romans 13. Abortion is murder, and our governments must seek justice and correct oppression. Isaiah 1. Opponents say we must not prosecute pregnant women who get an abortion, but this is an injustice to the mother as well as the child. The law is a tutor intended to drive us to the Lord, Galatians 3. If the mother remains ignorant of the eternal consequences of taking a human life, then she will not flee to the salvation found in Christ alone. We are currently denying these women the gospel. Opponents also say we must not remove the exceptions for rape and incest. However, we must not punish children for the sins of their fathers. Rapists should be executed, Deuteronomy 22. Abortion, even in this context, is still the unjust taking of human life. People will claim that I am just pro-birth and charge that I would not adopt these children from these unholy unions. To that, I testify that my husband and I are, in fact, approved to adopt, and our home is open to any child threatened with abortion.
Your time is up. Thank you.
May I close with South Carolina's motto, Doom, Spiro, Sparrow. While I breathe, I hope. Please make today a moment of hope for all South Carolina babies.
Is Chris Allison.
Good morning. I'm Chris Allison and I'm from Simpsonville. And today I've taken a day off from work to do something I've never done before. And that's to come down here to Columbia and to give my testimony against this bill. I do so because I feel it's unconstitutional and un-American. I can't believe that this committee would suggest that they consider a bill that would ban talking about a subject like abortion. I can't believe that this committee would study and consider a bill that would force a rape victim to continue a pregnancy that she does not want. I can't believe that this committee would also consider a bill that would threaten infertile couples with not being able to use IVF. This bill is just horrible on so many levels, it's almost unfathomable. So I can encourage you all to put this thing in the nearest paper shredder immediately, to be honest with you. You can do so much better. This state has a lot of problems when it comes to maternal and infant mortality. Why aren't we doing something about that? Why aren't you guys doing something about that instead? Please, again, I encourage you to dismiss this bill, do away with it, do something more productive for our citizens in this state. Thank you. I hope you have a great day.
Next is Jeff Reed.
Good morning. Thank you, Honorable Chairman and distinguished members of the subcommittee, for the opportunity to speak in strong support of S323. My name is Jeff Reed, Jr. As a follower of Christ, husband, father, IT geek from Sumter, I urge you to pass this vital legislation, which recognizes the inherent dignity of every human life from conception. From a Christian perspective, Scripture is clear on the sanctity of life. Psalm 139, that God knit us together in our mother's womb, fearfully and wonderfully made. Jeremiah 1:5 affirms, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, emphasizing that life begins with a divine purpose, not human convenience. These verses compel us to protect the unborn as image bearers of God, without exception. Secular evidence aligns with this truth. Biologically, life begins at fertilization, when a unique human DNA blueprint is formed, distinct from the mother's. A 2021 survey of over 5,500 biologists found 96% affirmed this. By week 3, a heartbeat emerges. By week 8, brainwaves are detectable. Organizations like the American College of Pediatricians affirm that human life is a continuum from conception, grounded in embryology and genetics, not politics. Opponents claim bodily autonomy justifies abortion, but this ignores the science. The unborn child is a separate human with their own body and rights. The right to life is foundational. Without it, no other rights exist. Claims of health care ring hollow when abortion ends a life, not heals one. And on the economic burdens, pro-life studies show support systems like pregnancy centers reduce hardship far better than elimination of the child. On a personal note, my family has had the pleasure of doing some fundraising for pregnancy centers in Sumter and interacting with some of the mothers. I've seen the centers provide aid that turns hardship into hope. Regarding the removal of rape and incest exceptions, while these harms are horrific and justice for the victims are demanded, the child conceived is innocent. The Guttmacher Institute shows that cases are rare in these situations, under 1%, but even one life matters. Exceptions undermine the bill's core principles. In closing, S323 honors our shared humanity. Pass it to be righteously consistent. Pass it to protect the vulnerable. Pass it for the full gospel of life and God's glory. Thank you again for allowing us to share our voice and for your time.
Next will be Jessica Kneft. Jessica Kneft. Okay. Christina Eisenhower.
Good morning. My name is Christina Eisenhower, and I'm in opposition to this bill. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I'm a lifelong South Carolinian and a resident of Lexington County. As I said, I strongly oppose this bill. Before our son Jacob was born, my husband and I were pregnant with twin boys in 2017. When I was 22 weeks pregnant, we discovered medical complications that required me to be hospitalized to prevent early labor, as the healthcare professionals understood that they would not likely survive at that early age. While in the hospital, we consulted with many medical professionals, maternal fetal medicine doctors, OBGYNs, and incredible NICU doctors. We were so grateful for the guidance that those medical professionals gave us during that time, and in fact, I don't remember ever having the desire to contact an unqualified politician or an unqualified pastor to tell me how to make healthcare decisions for my body and the life of my boys. These healthcare professionals offered guidance that gave us, the parents of these beautiful boys, the power to choose their care. This gave us, in essence, for our situation, the power to choose how our sons would experience the very last moments, the very last breaths of their life. Had this bill been a law at that time, it would have required doctors to subject me and those two boys, who, mind you, were only 1 pound each at the time, to torturous procedures that likely would have still resulted in their deaths. Instead of being able to say goodbye to them in the peaceful, pain-free manner that we were allowed to, their deaths could have been traumatic and painful. This bill is an abomination, written by legislators with no medical qualifications, and it is the peak of hypocrisy because it is written and provided by legislators who claim to be for personal choice, and yet it strips parents of the most important, precious choice that they have. It is a lie that this bill is about the protection of life. It is about controlling the most private moments of our lives. I implore you to oppose this bill.
Next speaker, Katrina Lopez.
Hello, I'm Katrina Lopez from Easley, South Carolina, and I am for this bill. A few years ago, I became pregnant with my third child. The first ultrasound showed that all was normal and the pregnancy proceeded happily until I was 7 months along. At that checkup, I was sent to the hospital because they feared something was wrong with the baby. After a flurry of tests and scans, a group of doctors and nurses came into my room. With a solemn air of bringing a sentence of death, they told me that the baby had a heart condition and would be disabled. This was news, but not as bad as they portrayed. I would love my little girl no matter what condition she had. What did surprise me was how they wanted to know this could have been avoided. You would have had more choices if you'd known. I could have made the choice to end the child's life, is what they meant. This made me realize that whether knowingly or unknowingly, women were getting scared and pressured to kill their disabled children before they even had a chance to live. It broke my heart, and it still does. The Declaration of Independence states that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these is life. It is a scientific fact that life begins at conception. At this point in time, we can even go on YouTube and watch a sperm fertilize the egg. When it does, there's a flash of light and life begins. That life has its own unique set of DNA. It's not part of the mother, though it is dependent on her. No mother should be allowed to murder her child at any stage in South Carolina. No mother should be allowed to murder her disabled child in South Carolina. And no mother should be allowed to murder the child for the sins of the father. As a South Carolinian, I ask that you put an end to the murder of innocent children.
Next is Kelly Waldron. Kelly Waldron. Okay. Warren Williams. Warren Williams. Okay. Emily Mayer. Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'm advised that
You've been listening to public comment at the South Carolina Medical Affairs Subcommittee hearing on the Child Protection Act, also known as the abortion bill. It is almost 11 o'clock. Charlotte Today is up next. Have a great morning.